take a look at the 2018 SAT results to demonstrate the empirical rule and how it can be used. Okay. In 2018, the SATs had an average score of 1068 and a standard deviation of 204. Right? That means that our mu is 1068 and that our sigma is 204. Okay? Now, the mean or mu goes right in the middle of your normal curve. So 1068 will be the value that goes right in the middle. 204, the standard deviation, is the change as we go from section to section. So 1068 plus 204 is going to give us 1272. 1272 plus 204 is going to give us 1476. And 1476 plus 204 is 1680. All right. Once again, all we're doing is adding 204 as we go to the right. Plus 204 plus 204. Okay. As we go to the left, we're going to do the opposite, and we're going to subtract 204. All right, so 1068 minus 204 is 864. 864 minus 204 is 660. And 660 minus 204 is going to give us 456. All right, so we're just going to magically fill in the rest of the chart and get the correct colors. Everything that we need. Okay, so what SAT score is 3 standard deviations above the mean? All right, part A here. Well, because we're dealing with a chart that's now been set up, we can look and say, well, our mean was 1068, right? 1 standard deviation, 2 standard deviations, and then 3 standard deviations above the mean would be 1680. Right? Part of the reason I'm using this portion of the graph 1680 is because we always have to use a little bit of common sense. Right? Your SATs, in this case, the max score was 1600. Right? So no scores are actually going to be up there. But with the way the data, the data crunched, we get 3 standard deviations above the mean as 1680. So a little bit of an anomaly because nobody could get that score. All right? So look out for things like that. Move on down to B here. 68% of the data falls between what 2 values? Well, our empirical rule tells us that 68% falls between 1 standard deviation above and 1 standard deviation below. So the 2 values we're looking for are 864 and 1272. All right, if we're going to look at 95%, all right, falling between what 2 values? Well, according to the empirical rule, 95% of the data falls within 2 standard deviations above and below the mean. Right, so 2 standard deviations above the mean would be 1476. 2 standard deviations below the mean would be 660. All right, and so our 2 values here are 660 and 1476. If we're going to go 3 above and 3 below, well, that's what 99.7% is referring to, right? 3 standard deviations above and below. And so 3 above would be 1680, 3 below would be 456, and so 456 and 1680 would represent the portion of the graph that 99.7% of the data falls between.